Hello, it's Ollie Permaculture, aka Solo Cypher of Vocal Swords. We're here to review The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. Vocal Swords, we're here to share good ideas and make a difference. Okay, so 4-Hour Work Week is a extremely dense and pretty intense book. It's great, it's a really good read. Very inspiring, like I say, super dense. There's an awful lot of information in there. I'll probably have to read it a good few times, and ultimately it depends on your psychology as to whether you are going to be able to achieve what's in the book. I'm hoping at some point that my psychology will be able to develop to achieve even a fraction of what's in the book. That would be excellent. If anyone apart from Tim Ferriss, has been able to achieve everything that's in the book, then they're on another level. But, you know, all of us can aspire to keep moving forward, go to a next level. So, let's get into it. I'm just going to pick up about 5 or 6 things that I found were really key to the book. So, let's start off with a kind of pendulum between 2 things, 2 principles. The first being Pareto's principle. And Pareto's principle, Alfred Pareto, Italian. Oh no, something just fell over. I've tried to set this whole studio thing up all really nicely and whatnot, but I've powered up a load of junk out of sight. If you know me, I've got loads of junk. And half of it's just collapsed, so never mind. Let's go. Pareto principle is the first thing. So, and his principle is all about 80-20. And Pareto investigated lots of different phenomena, and it's a little bit tricky to get your head around, so Google that as well. 80-20 principle, or Pareto's law, 80-20 principle. But basically, it's that in any situation, 80% of the outcome, generally, comes from only around 20% of the input. So if you think about a day at work, a lot of the time, if you think about all the kind of useless, non-productive things that you do, out of all of that day, only about 20% of the time is going to be really effective in achieving your actual work outcomes. So utilising Pareto's law is all about finding exactly what that 20% is and smashing those tasks and either ignoring or outsourcing the rest of it. So 80-20 is quite fundamental to what Tim Ferriss is looking at, especially when he talks about outsourcing. As an awful lot of the book concentrates on the importance of outsourcing, and a lot of the time it's thinking, what is this 80% of stuff that you kind of have it's kind of you're doing, or it's sort of required but it's not particularly effective? Can it either be ignored or can you outsource it somehow? So 80-20 principle from Pareto is key to the book. Now, if you want to know more about this, check out Richard Koch, if you can read this. Richard Koch basically took the principle and wrote a whole book about it. So Richard Koch wrote the 80-20 principle. So that's worth checking out. I did that recently. That's pretty cool. Now, the 80-20 principle, Tim Ferriss has then kind of melded it nicely together with another idea, which comes from a guy called Parkinson. Now, Parkinson studied the British civil service and bureaucracy, and he was fascinated by huge levels of bureaucracy and inefficiency and whatnot. And his law is all around time, and essentially how work will just expand to fill a gap. Doesn't necessarily mean it's effective work that you're doing any more work, it will just fill a time gap. So it's all about, if you think about if you've got an essay that's due, you've got all this time to do it, but you end up only doing it in the last day or so, at the last minute possible. So to utilise Parkinson's law, you have to think, well, if I'm only going to do the work in the last possible time anyway, if you force yourself to set very tight deadlines, you're going to force yourself to do all of that work very quickly. And if you mix it with the 80-20 principle, so you're mainly doing the 20% most effective things, if you do the 20% very effective things in a short amount of time, or set yourself a very short guideline according to Parkinson's law, then you are going to be operating at a very efficient level. So 80-20 and Parkinson's rule combined with each other is key to this book. Again, Tim Ferriss's idea. And these ideas go all the way through his book, which is cool. Now, the kind of third thing I want to talk about, which is central to the book and is the key to having this idea of a 4-hour work week. So you can spend the rest of your life and time doing kind of what you want, doing leisure activities, or more importantly, finding the purpose of your life and being able to engage in those sorts of activities without necessarily having to worry about money. So the key to that is developing what Timothy calls a muse. Now, a muse is essentially a business. So a muse is your business or product that you have developed to generate cash, kind of 24/7. And the idea is that you can set up your muse, your business. So I'm going to change that to put that as a business or product. If you can have a business or product that you only spend 4 hours a week working on, you've generated that muse, from which you can then obtain your lifestyle, doing all the other things that you may be on this world to actually achieve, rather than spending all of your time just trying to earn money, which is what a lot of us are doing. And in some ways, this is what we're trying to escape. Okay, so now the whole book, not the whole book, but a lot of the book is dedicated to this generation of a muse. And again, like I said, it's very, very dense. It's an excellent book, and Ferriss basically outlines in lots of key steps and detail how to develop that muse, how to develop a business, how to develop a product successfully so that you can achieve this lifestyle. I'm not going to go into that detail, but essentially if that's what you are after, I'd highly recommend picking up the book and trying to do that. He talks about physical products, and that's pretty cool. In order to develop the products, he is all about you trying to find a niche, and one of the things within the niche is trying to find the highest value. So creating a product that is going to be of a high value. And for me, psychologically, that's a lot for me to get my head around, because I am a real cheapskate and I don't buy high value products very often. But the psychology is an important aspect to this book. So I just wanted to mention psychology as well, because in some ways, in order to achieve what Timothy Ferriss is advocating, you do have to change some of your outlooks, change some of your psychological profiles. And he has a couple of little tricks and tips or exercises which you can do to do that. One is to, when you're walking around on the street, do this little eye contact attempt. So as in, anyone you see when you're walking around, you got to hold their eye contact. Hold their eyes. Look into their eyes. And if you look away before they do, then you lose. And it's about building up your confidence like that. That's an interesting one. The other one is just getting contact details. So, going up to people in the street, especially getting contact details of very beautiful people that you might normally feel a bit shy about, going up to them and saying, "Oh, I work for a modelling agency or whatever. I think you're stunning. Could I take your contact details or whatever? Or if you're single, can I have your contact details for a date?" Things like that. So that's an interesting one, just, going up to people in the street. Again, I haven't practiced it because my psychology isn't there yet, but maybe I will. So making eye contact, I did practice that one. It was interesting. Yeah, it's a weird one. It does click something a little bit in your brain a little bit, but I don't know whether you want to do that forever. Anyway, yeah, getting people's contact details. I guess it's developing like a sales mentality so that you're willing to go up to anyone and sell your product. And if you practice without even having a product or anything, I guess it makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, it's just getting your head into doing things that you wouldn't normally do, just jumping out of your comfort zone. Like I am, because this is my first full review, so I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone. Feel the sweat off my brow. Okay, let's get there. So, eye contact details, and relaxing in public is just some of these little psychological tools. So he's like, yeah man, just find somewhere in the middle of a crowded place and just lie down on the floor. Lie down on the floor as if you own the whole street, as if you own the whole town. Like, it's cool. Again, just getting your psychology into a like real positive place where you kind of, I can do anything. It doesn't matter if I'm kind of breaking social norms. It's like, it's not against the law. It's not really against the rules. The world is your oyster. Part of that is one of the keys, another key. Anyway, we're nearly there. So we've gone through at the 80-20 principle. Look for the most effective 20% in any situation and build on the 20%. Parkinson's law, set tight deadlines, because anything that you're going to do, you're generally going to end up doing towards the end of the deadline. So anyway, the shorter the deadline you make it, the more things you're going to do, and hopefully productive things if you're using the 80-20 principle. Thirdly, muse, that's your business creation. And that reminds me what I wanted to actually talk about. So one of his ideas, as well as creating a physical product, is to become an expert in a given field. Now, I'm a teacher, so I'm kind of like, well, I should be able to increase my influence if I utilize my ability as a teacher in, if I pivot a little bit, because my influence as a teacher within the education system, I'm kind of like, I don't really have any. I'm working on it. So he's got a little chapter in his book all about, or a little section all about how to become an expert in 3 easy stages, or 4 easy stages. So I'll just go through those very quickly because I quite like this one. So the first of all, you've got to join 2 or 3 trade organisations. So you become an expert by joining a trade organisation, trade ORG. Join some 2 or 3 trade organisations, because then that kind of gives you some credentials. He's just like, whip out your credit card and join them. So I don't know how much that's going to cost. Hopefully I'm going to try and do this a little bit. Like I say, I am already a genuine teacher, so I'm going to follow these steps, fingers crossed, and I'll do another video at some point explaining whether this has worked or not. So you join some trade organisations, then you read the 3 top selling books. So read and summarise 3 top books on your subject. So I'm in education, more specifically special needs, so I'm going to look at what's the most influential special needs books. Again, you do this in your area. Play along with me. Let's see if we can all jumpstart our entrepreneurial careers. Read 3 top books, summarise onto a page, learn those summaries so it's fully in your head, and then give some free talks. So it's like, go to a local college and give a free talk and seminar on this area of expertise that you are developing. You give that for free, so you contact, again, this is where you've got to get that psychology of like cold calling, being able to take rejection or whatnot, but essentially if you're offering something for free, hopefully people will take you up. So you go in, see if you can get a talk at a college. Once you've got that talk, you then give the talk to a business. So you approach a couple of businesses and say, I've given a talk at X college, X university, I want to develop my skills, I want to reach a different audience. So again, then you give talks elsewhere. In the process of doing that, you record what you're doing, you develop FAQs, and potentially you can record one of those seminars that you're doing to then create a product. You've essentially got an information service that you can have as a video, a paid-for video, online subscription service, things like that. So essentially you're building up product by building on your expert knowledge, taking FAQs, drawing from the knowledge that you already have, building it up, and essentially creating a product at the same time. And then the last little bit of that is, so you could also write for some trade organisations. And then the last bit is to join ProfNet. So this is essentially where you try and leverage your newfound expertise. So you go online, you join ProfNet. Now I had a look earlier. You can't just sign up. It's a bit of to and fro, so I've had to fill some details in. Hopefully they're going to get back to me. I'm not sure how much it costs to actually join, but the idea is once you develop your kind of base of being an expert, you then put yourself out there to media organisations and journalists. And even if you can't go through this ProfNet, that you would then you'd look for kind of news stories and start cultivating relationships with journalists, so that you can be a go-to head expert to get your opinion. And once you start getting that helps to raise your profile. Once you can raise your profile, then you can go to start selling whatever product it is that you've made. For example, like we say, the video seminars, or we are hoping that you can, from the seminars, from the research that you've done, begin to build your own products. For example, a book, an ebook, whatever. It's all of those sorts of things. So it's all about building up that credibility as an expert. So this is one example of the kind of muse generation that Tim is talking about. And I guess once you've created like a digital product or a book product that you then promote and sell, that takes you back to being able to live a 4-hour work week, as long as your product is selling and is becoming profitable. And this is the fundamental thing that you need to do. So it's all about becoming an entrepreneur, if that wasn't clear already. Okay, there's one other thing. The speed reading part. I think I already did a video about the speed reading bit. That's pretty interesting, and especially I guess when it comes to wanting to become an expert, you're going to have to speed read through a lot of information. It's helped me to a degree, and it's interesting because I've found I'm not speed reading all the time, because a lot of the books that I've found recently I'm so intrigued by, I want to read them properly. However, I have found that if there's bits in a book or kind of information I'm not too fussed about, I don't think it's going to be that useful. It's a great tool to be able to speed read quickly through, although I'm finding personally I am missing bits of information. Maybe the more you do it, the more information you absorb. I'm not an expert yet, but it's all about building expertise. This has been my first, like I say, practice, but let's put it out live. I hope you have enjoyed it. It's Vocal Swords. I'm Ollie Permaculture, but most social platforms, I'm also my rap name at Solo Cypher, SOLOCYPHER, Solar Cypher. Writing rhymes in the back of a car, or an eco car, or an electric car, hopefully. There you go, at Solar Cypher on most social media, and Vocal Swords is the home. This has been the 4-Hour Work Week review. Have a look there. If you want any more information, let me know, and it's been good speaking to you. It's nearly at 20 minutes. Top tip from me that I have found is that on YouTube, you can 2x the speed. So I've probably been umming and ahhing a little bit. You can X that out by going 2 times the speed, get all of this information very quickly, or play it at half speed if you really like looking at my face. All right, I hope you're well, and please like, comment, subscribe for more soon. Stay well, good mental health, happiness and fun is what it should all be about. So let's keep that in mind. All right, peace.